What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Dude Hine Show. Today is July 28th, 2021. This video, I'm continuing my series of doing season predictions for each NFL team. This video happens to be a season prediction of the Carolina Panthers. Heading into the 2021 NFL season, the Panthers are one of my sleeper teams. They're one of the teams I'm most excited about. They have pretty much a whole new team compared to the last season. Their offseason was full of just fantastic moves. Some of their additions, they got in the offseason was, they traded for, former starting quarterback of the Jets, Sam Darnold. To me, I thought that was a really good trade for the Panthers because, Teddy Bridgewater last season, he was just not it. He had high completion percentage, but, that was large part due to Joe Brady's fantastic offense. But Sam Darnold, to me, I think, with the Panthers' offense now, I think he finally has weapons and a decent offensive line. That's something he never really had much in New York with the Jets. Another move I absolutely love so much, they drafted LSU wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr., and I just mentioned Joe Brady. Joe Brady was the offense coordinator at LSU when Terrace Marshall Jr. had a 10-touchdown season the year that the LSU Tigers won the national championship game. To me, I think Terrace Marshall Jr. is a phenomenal piece to their offense. Him, Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson actually played with Sam Darnold with the Jets. Not to mention they have DJ Moore, which in my opinion is arguably the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL, tied with Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Tyler Boyd. But to me, they have one of the better wide receiver trios in the NFL, in my opinion. They also extended their offense tackle Taylor Moton. I thought that was a very smart move by them because, you could have tons of pieces and tons of skill players, like great wide receivers, but it doesn't mean anything unless you have a good offensive line. They also signed corner A.J. Bouye. Thought that was a good move there to get some more depth at corner. And they also, they drafted J.C. Horn in the first round as well. To me, the only really departures that can affect the Panthers this season, they lost Mike Davis. He played a decent bit last year due to Christian McCaffrey's injuries. But I really don't think that departure will hurt them much because they actually drafted, Oklahoma State running back Chuba Hubbard this past season in the draft. And they lost wide receiver Curtis Samuel to the Washington team. But I really feel like the addition to with Terrace Marshall Jr., he'll be the replacement of the Curtis Samuel spot in Carolina's offense. So just right off the gate here in Week 1, I cannot wait for this game. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the most intriguing Week 1 matchups in all of the NFL. Sam Darnold's revenge game against the New York Jets. Carolina has this game at home. The Jets have some nice, young, talented players, something they did not have when Sam Darnold was a quarterback in New York. Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, some nice guys. But to me, I think, with this new offense at Carolina, it's just going to be too much for the Jets to handle. So I have the Panthers going 1-0 here in the opening week. Week 2, they face a divisional rival in the New Orleans Saints. They play this in Carolina as well. I have the Panthers losing here, but I would not be shocked that they actually might pull off an upset victory. The Saints, Drew Brees retiring, that's going to have a big effect on their team. But I honestly believe the Saints are still 100% a playoff contender. And I'm very interested to see how Jameis Winston performs this season with Sean Payton as his head coach. Continue here in Week 3 at the Houston Texans. That's a win. There's not really much to explain here. The Texans suck. They're the worst team in the NFL, and it's not even close. They're the worst roster in the NFL, and it's not even close. If the Texans win more than 3 games this season, I would be absolutely shocked. Honestly, maybe even 2 wins. But this game right here is an easy win here for the Carolina Panthers. Week 4, this is not an easy matchup at all. They head to Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys, to me, they're one of those teams who, you kind of know what you're going to get, but it's still kind of a question mark because the Dallas Cowboys offense is one of the best ones in the NFL. But their defense last year, they started off the year historically bad. One of the worst passing defenses in NFL history to start off the season. I have Carolina losing here, But I think this might be a really good game here in week 4. Week 5, they host the Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, I think it's one of the more easier games on their schedule. They have Zach Ertz currently on their roster, but it's very likely that he's going to end up being traded, whether it's the Bills, Colts, Chargers, whoever. And Jalen Hurts, I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts at all. I don't know why people are. But I think this is going to be an easy win here in Week 5 for the Carolina Panthers, moving them to 3-2 on the season. So far, it's looking pretty good for Carolina. In Week 6 here, they host the Minnesota Vikings. I mentioned in the beginning of this video, to me, the Panthers are arguably the most, biggest sleeper team in the season. If they're not, to me, the Vikings are. I really think the Vikings and the Panthers are the two most underrated teams going into the season. I had the Panthers losing here. I wouldn't be shocked if they pull off an upset victory, but I'm just very intrigued by this, Vikings team. If they had an average Mike Zimmer defense last season, they easily were a playoff team. They had a fantastic draft. Their offense last year was just extremely underrated. I mean, Dalvin Cook averaged nearly 140 total yards a game. Statistically wise, Justin Jefferson was the best rookie receiver we've ever seen. Adam Thielen had over 10 receiving touchdowns, and Kirk Cousins had a very underrated year. But I'm going to give the Panthers a loss here in Week 6, moving 3-3. Week 7, they go to New York to take on the Giants. This is the game, every single year, for every single team, there's always that one game they lose, and they should not lose. A game that they just, they should play real good, and they just absolutely suck. I feel like this might be one of those games for the Panthers. They lose here to the Giants, and I know some people might think this is, the Giants should beat the Panthers. Honestly, to me, I think the Panthers are a better team than the Giants, honestly. To me, they have the better skill players, but the only thing that really separates them is their quarterbacks. And right now, I kind of think they're, not that far off. They're both of them. It seems like they're turnover machines. But with Sam Darnold being with Joe Brady, I'm just very interested in that. But I feel like, the Panthers might have a mess-up game like most teams do. They lose a game when this might not necessarily should here in Week 7. They move to 3-4 on the year. Week 8, they go to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. The Falcons aren't going to be really good this year, in my opinion. I have the Panthers win here in Week 8, going back to 500, 4-4 on the year. The Panthers get a huge upset win here in Week 9. They actually defeat the New England Patriots. And I think this is a possibility where we see the Panthers maybe, beat Belichick. And when Sam Darnold was with the Jets, he just struggled so much against the New England defense. But with all his weapons and his much improved offensive line, and being around the guy, an offensive guru like Joe Brady, I think it's possible we see an upset where the Panthers beat the New England Patriots here in Week 9, where they move to 5-4 on the season. Week 10, they go to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. I had them losing here, but this is one of those toss-up games. I really feel like I would not be shocked to either team won. I feel like this will be a really good game, though. Two young teams who have tons of potential, but I have Arizona winning here in Week 10. Week 11, I had them losing to the Washington football team. To me, Washington's defense, and I just really feel like Washington's defense is more proven than Carolina's offense. I think Carolina's offense is going to be really good, but there's games where you look at last season, Washington's defense just really stepped up way more than anybody really thought. And something else is actually a revenge game for Curtis Samuel. He was with the Panthers for several seasons, and now he's with the Washington football team. I have the Carolina Panthers losing here in Week 11 to go with 5-6 on the year. Week 12, they travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. I could have said this in a couple other videos. The Dolphins have the right tools. They have a great young head coach. They have a ton of potential. But the big question mark for the Dolphins is Tua Tagovailoa. I just honestly do not know what we're going to see from him. He's so inconsistent. I have the Panthers losing here in Week 12, but I would not be shocked at all if the Panthers were able to beat Miami here in Week 12. I think this is one of those games where maybe it's an upset victory here for Carolina. Week 13 happens to be their bye week, so heading into the bye week, they're 5-7. I know that's under 500, but that's really not bad considering they're in one of the better divisions in the NFL and they have a decently hard schedule. As we continue here, their first game off the bye week, they take on the Atlanta Falcons. I think they will end up beating the Falcons here. Actually, sweeping the Falcons here for 2-0 against Atlanta on the season. Week 15, they go to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Bills, to me, it was just crazy to see Josh Allen's development last season, him being an MVP candidate. I think the Bills are one of the better teams in the AFC, and I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are just too much for Carolina's defense. They moved to 6-8 on the year. Week 16, they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have them losing here. As much as I'm high on Carolina, unlike most people, I just cannot see them beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in Week 16. They arguably have the best roster in the NFL, and it looks like it's realistically they will win back-to-back Super Bowls. Week 17, they host the New Orleans Saints, and I actually had them getting an upset victory here against the Saints here in Week 17 to move to 7-9 on the year. And a game like this could possibly take the Saints at the playoff hunt. So it'll be very interesting to see how this game plays out. I'm very interested in the Panthers in their division. I think they're capable of beating the Saints. I think they're definitely capable of beating the Falcons both games. I don't think they will beat the Buccaneers unless they maybe don't play their starters. And that's exactly what I think will happen in Week 18 though. Because I have the Panthers beating the Buccaneers in Week 18 because I believe the Buccaneers had the number 1 seed in the playoffs and never rest Tom Brady and Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, all those guys to prepare them for the playoffs. So when all those starters aren't playing, I think it's a good chance that Carolina will defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go to 8-9 on the year. So my record prediction for the Carolina Panthers is 8-9. There's actually a couple more games. I honestly think the Carolina Panthers are capable of winning, but there are a few games I think they're possibly capable of losing as well. My ceiling for the Carolina Panthers is 10-7, and my floor for them is 6. My ceiling for them is 10-7, and my floor for them is 6-11. If they were in just about any other NFC division, I definitely think they're a playoff team. But being in the same division as Matt Ryan, who's a potential Hall of Famer, Sean Payton, who's one of the best coaches in the NFL, and a team who just won a Super Bowl with the best quarterback of all time, I do not think it's going to be an easy year for the Panthers, but I'm very interested for them. Once again, my prediction for the Carolina Panthers this year is 8-9. Thank you all